Everybody, I'm so happy. Today is day 2 from 7 master classes Become a Selling Artist. I'm Anita Tonchivanyasi, and you guys, I hope you enjoy day 1 and you already made the 3 homeworks plus the shading and the grade scale. So in these master classes, you're going to develop your skills, find your artistic voice, and build your art brand. Day 1, yesterday, you learned the drawing techniques. Day 2, today, we're going to talk about color theory. Day 3, working with mixed media. Day 4, who are you as an artist, and we're going to do market research. Day 5, how to find your voice. Day 6, art history and what is art critique. Day 7, social media marketing. So today, in color theory, we're going to learn how to mix colors, the psychological meaning behind the color, and we're going to practice 3 colors limited palettes. Okay, so mixing colors, and today when we talk about mixing colors and color theory, what I mean is mixing pigments or any kind of physical paint that you can touch with your hands. A color is something that usually immediately attracts attention, and even without reading different researches, you're going to you can see that small kids, for example, whenever you told them to separate and make groups with different toys, they will group them by color, not by size or by their shape. So that's very interesting. So color is the first thing that makes us pay attention and can tell us different message or send different message to us. So color theory is the art and the science of the color interaction and different effects. And in the art of color, this is Johannes Itten lists the approaches to color theory. When we talk about color theory, they pay attention to the physics of the color, the chemistry, the psychological and the physiological aspects of the color. And Johannes Itten, for those of you who don't know, he was a professor in Bauhaus, the art and design school in Weimar in Germany, very famous till nowadays. So he was one of the people who spent most of his time developing this color theory. Of course, he is not the only one. Later on we are going to see another example, but in general his books are very interesting, and the color theory that we use around the world is based on his research. So very simple, just to mention the name of the colors in English. For those of you who are like me, English is their second language. So primary colors are yellow, red and blue. Just because these colors, we cannot mix other colors to get these colors. So they are pure color, or also called tint, that we cannot get in any other way. They are just pure color. Then we have complementary colors, which happen when we mix 2 primary colors. For example, yellow and red, we will get orange. Then orange, red and blue will get purple, and blue and yellow will get green. So these are the complementary colors. Then we have, if you continue mixing colors like complementary plus primary, you're going to get tertiary and so much more, because colors, this is just the basic and this is just the beginning. And another thing about cool and warm colors, which I decided not to include here, what we know from kindergarten is that cool colors are green, green, blue, purple, and warm colors are red, orange, yellow. But in general, I want to tell you that this actually is not really true. Especially, for example, if we talk about acrylic colors, yes, this actually doesn't matter, and you can follow this kind of understanding. But if you talk about oils, in oils you can have warm yellow and cool yellow, and you can have warm blue and cool blue. But since this class and this course is not about painting with oils, I'm not going to talk about that and focus on that. I just want to tell you that different pigments have different cools and different warms. So mixing colors, and the exercise that I prepare for you, and this will be your task 1 from this class today, is to make this simple grid, or you can download it beneath the classes. You will find it there. And you can see white to black, red, blue, yellow, red. Actually, the combinations here, first we have the black to white, then we have the primary, then we have the secondary colors. And you can practice and start with them. So it's, for example, yellow to purple, blue to orange, red to green, or blue to green, blue to purple, and so on. In the exercise that I'm giving you, I just selected only one row that I would like to do, and this is yellow purple in my case, and I just draw 4 or 5 squares and just did one line. But for you guys, you can practice and make more. So what you have to do, the first box has to be 100% of the first color, the last box has to be 100% of the second color, and then between, in the middle, is 50-50 of each color. And then on one side here it will be 75% white plus 25% black, and then here will be 75% black and 25% white. So again, it's a gradient scale. This time we are working with color. During my university classes, I actually had three classes, three different classes, 3 semesters for color theory. And in the color theory, we had to make all kinds of combinations, 2 colors or 2 colors to black, 2 colors to white, 2 colors per ochre, and so much more. So at the end of the course, the 3-semester course, I actually had more than 1,500 color combinations. And what is important for you is to mix the colors very carefully on the palette and then apply them on the paper, because otherwise, if you just take the 2 colors and start mixing over the paper, you're going to see different lines or effects from one or the other color that you actually don't want. So the color has to be solid and flat, and just to layer it evenly in this shape. So Infinity Color Enjoy combinations, for those of you who like this kind of work, you can practice, and you can even make your own color swatches and just pack them in some kind of folder and just keep them for yourself to check which combinations can happen from different colors, because really sometimes it's really interesting. So after we mix the colors, it's nice to mention the psychological meaning behind the color, and probably this is something that, of course, most of the people know, that color is having effect on our physical and mental state, and that's why it's important how we paint, especially people who study interior design, but also graphic design, of course, or any other design. To know which kind of colors and objects and clothes you are wearing, because they always have effect on you. For example, the bedroom, of course, you don't have to paint it with something bright and bold color each one of the walls. For example, imagine super pink bedroom that when you enter, I mean, you will not sleep in this room. After 10 days, probably you feel very hyper energetic, restless, like really tense. So usually, for example, the place where we sleep has to be covered with something more like very light pastel colors, like green, blue, something that will relax the nerve system. Also, color has a psychological, universal psychological meaning. In this case, what I meant by painting your bedroom with blue or green. And for example, here I included in logo design also, of course, designers, when they choose their colors, they are connected with the meaning of the work. So in this example, the Starbucks logo, the color symbolizes wealth, healing, and nature, the green color, and then the white is used as the main siren symbol, representing simplicity and cleanliness. Other universal meaning, psychological meaning of a color orange is usually when they use it for multivitamins or any kind of vitamins. Orange color usually represents like energy, vitality, strength, positivity. So you always see it on vitamin bottles or energy drinks even. Here you don't really see this. This is from the internet. You guys can find also Johannes Itten writes a lot about the psychological meaning behind the color. So you guys definitely can see it, even though you don't see fully here and you cannot read. That's not a problem. You can Google it and see it there. It's not something that is hidden like a special kind of information or whatever. So something that you need to know is that the psychological meaning behind the color also can be cultural, not just universal. And for instance, the color white suggests purity and innocence in the West. And you know, when Western people want to get married, the bride usually is wearing white, symbolizing this purity and innocence. But if you're in Africa or here in Asia, these countries, usually the color white is associated with death. And I was very surprised when one of my colleagues told me that the grandma, her mother, doesn't like to put big white flowers on kids' head, just because here in Asia the white color, even on flowers, can represent death or that somebody will die. So imagine how people will react to those things. So in case your target group is a specific cultural group that you're targeting and you want to speak a message that is related to them, or is part of the story of your artwork, please pay attention to those cultural references, symbolic meaning, and so on. Or the red color represents lust and adventure in the Western culture, or passion, but here in Asian countries it symbolizes luck, prosperity, and marriage. And when people get married, actually they dress up in red color. Or any celebration that they have, they also love red color. Colors also can have religious meaning, and they also can have political meaning. So as you can see, color actually has and gives a lot of depth to your work, knowing or not knowing. So it's good to make our research before we do whatever we do. Then limited color palette. So these are two images that I selected for you guys, and you can download them, or actually whatever image you find comfortable and interesting for you, you can use it. Just print it out and use one of the three techniques that you learned yesterday, the projector technique, the rice paper, or the grid technique, to convert this as a sketch on your board, canvas, or watercolor paper. And choose your color combinations. In my case, as I said, is purple and yellow. You can choose two complementary colors, or you can choose three colors, like two primary, red, blue, and yellow, plus a little bit of white, or two colors, two primary, red, blue, and yellow, plus black. Also, those of you who want to add a third color. In my case, I also use yellow, purple, and I added white. So this is what you're going to see in the demo. Tips when you're painting, and in general later when you are creating your final work. One more time. So start with big brushes and use smaller brushes at the end. This is usually you have to cover and make some kind of general mid-tone, right? That's why we talk about mid-tone. You can cover everything with the same color which you decided to be your mid-tone, and from there you can build your darkest dark and your lightest light. And you always start from big to small. If you're painting an eye, you're not going to start with the eyelash, you're going to start with the whole shape, and at the end you're going to start the smaller, you're going to put the smaller eyelashes. So the same, big brush first, smaller brush after. Don't overwork an area, don't overlap too much paint, keep it fresh, don't blend on the canvas. So what does that mean? Mix your colors on the palette. That's why we are doing this mixing technique. Mix the colors on the palette, and after that you apply them on the canvas. Of course, instead of, if you want some kind of cool effects and special effects that the colors are dripping and mixing like watercolors on the paper, that's also fine. But again, don't stack paint over and over. Just try to keep it fresh, like one-time brush stroke or something. Then work from dark to light, save the highlights at the end. Work from cool to warm, or paint in cools only, and then at the end add warms. In general, this also connects with the cools and the warm theory that I mentioned a little bit before that. This is more advanced. Then look for big shapes and paint details last, and aim to get the value right the first time. So when you're following these images, try to mix your color very well and almost to be the same like what you see, and then apply it. So try to match the value to be right. So here, these highlights that I am making with white later on the video, they are added at the end. First, there is a mid-tone, general tone that I painted the whole vase, and after that I was adding the highlights here and then the blicks of the light to make it glass, because that's a glass bottle, right? So thank you for today. Thank you for listening. That's for now. You guys have to practice the mixing colors, make one color swatches, and also practice the 2 or the 3 color palette. I hope you enjoy it, and see you tomorrow. Bye.